Horror Hour.
We all go a little mad. Forget you.
The dead.
Here's Johnny.
All right. Well, hello and welcome to the Horror Hour, place we discuss, we debate, we disagree on all things horror. I'm one of the co-hosts here, Yutaka. Hello. And today I'm really excited because if you haven't seen on Twitter and everything else that I consistently talk about this film, which I'm a huge fan of, Sinphony, I have one of the writer-directors here, Jason Ragosta. How are you?
I am doing so well. Thank you, Yutaka. How are you doing?
It's been a journey with this film. I've watched it way too many times, so
No such thing. No such
that's
thing
very true. Yeah, So first off, I kind of just want to ask them, with Mother Love, like what kind of what interested you, or like where did the story come from?
Yeah. So originally, do you want me to? Yeah, I could go into it. So
Yeah,
we were in a room really late at night on Clubhouse with Sebastian and all the other filmmakers, and we were talking about horror films, and he was talking about Christine, which is like one of his favorites, and we all love Carpenter. Personally, my favorite Carpenter film is probably The Fog. I can't even express why. It's just like a comfort movie where when I watch it, I feel better.
I love
But I
that.
also love Christine as well. And then eventually it got to like, well, we all love horror. Let's make a horror anthology. And we're all like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And Seb's like, well, write a script that's like 7 to 10 pages, and then I'll get my company to fund it and we'll do it. And we're like, yeah, we'll do that. And then so then Hank Pena, who's our like patron saint, basically, he turned in a script within 4 hours to Seb, and then Seb took it really seriously because he read it and he liked it. He's like, this is good. Okay. And then I had mine in within 2 days, and I think everybody had theirs in within like the end of the week, basically. So and it just kind of went from there. So when it came to Mother Love, what I thought was I wanted to go for like core classic horror. So I decided to mutate Halloween and the Evil Dead, basically, and that's what this is. And then wrapped around, and then I added witches, because why not?
I mean, sometimes they just make things better.
Yeah.
And one of the things, that I do love about this anthology is the fact that obviously you have the song or just the music, like it's carried throughout in different variations. And so I'm a huge fan of that. Did you know how that was going to factor into your story?
Yeah, so we knew there was going to be a song. What's cool is Mike, I think, and Seb wrote it and got with David Feslian, who did an amazing job, putting together all these different versions. I think there was some other artists too that maybe did a couple of them as well outside of that. But it was just so good. And what's funny is, I'm used to like, I direct music videos sometimes and stuff like that. So what I do is when I get a song for a music video, I'll listen to it like 100 times just on repeat and see what kind of floats up out of the depths, from my imagination. And so I was listening to this one a lot. And, originally in my version, originally the mom actually sang the song to the little boy to set it up, and then it comes back in a big way at the end, and then the coven joins in, and it's like this whole Sam Raimi moment that happens. That's one of my favorite bits. So the song, to me, it was all about empowering and driving this thing. And yeah, I just love the song so much. And I will say Haley's version of it is my favorite. Although like they're all really cool in their own way. Which is kind of fun. Like, Kimmy's is really cool too. And then Nicole's, it sounds more like a lounge lizard, kind of like slightly sleazy, like cheap wine and cigarettes, kind of deal.
I love that description of that.
And yeah. So that's the thing too, is like I really want I'm gonna do some designs. I really want us to do like an LP, like even like a limited edition LP with all the tracks on it and stuff. I think it would be fun. So we'll play around with that. We'll see what we could do. But yeah.
I would buy that vinyl if you guys did that in a
Right?
heartbeat.
It'd be very cool.
But as you can tell, I am a merch whore. So if you put out really great merch that looks good or just like a cool concept, absolutely, I'm sold.
Is that where you
Um,
got that shirt? Because I was wondering, where that came from.
yes. Again, really great quality, but also like the images just pop, and I love how each is obviously so great of each of the stories.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm a huge fan, even though I think right now clowns have been terrifying everybody lately. But
Yeah.
I love this clown mask, by the way, in
Oh,
your
and just so you
segment.
know, that's the 1.0 version. Wait until you see the 2.0 version. Hopefully we get to do the feature. I've turned in a draft of it. We'll see what happens.
Oh,
But I've come up with a whole backstory for it that brings it to a whole nother level. Let me just say that's like the dime store cheap version of what we would do in the feature.
I mean, I'm mentally not prepared then because
Nobody is. Nobody is Yutaka. Nobody.
you know, one of the things that I really enjoyed about the segment, you know, it starts out, yeah, I'm like, I already know, I'm like, "Ugh, it's probably not going to end well," but I loved the vibes and the creep factor was just there. But my favorite part though is where she's kind of going through the house, like also while her coven is like cracking jokes. So I loved, like, I'm like, I should be scared, but that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was like, how did you like work with like kind of playing with that
Yeah.
to kind
Yeah.
of make that through that part?
Well, so the original name of the short was actually Cozy Coven Rollers, which is the name of their like clubhouse room. So that was always a big part of it for me, and I was so excited about it. And the fact that it was going to be a clubhouse anthology,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the first shot in the trailer because we did that nice dolly up on the phone, and people were like paying close attention, noticed that it's Barbara Crampton, Bonnie Aarons, and Kelly Maroney's whose icons are on there. Originally, I wanted them to do the voices, but scheduling, because we did the film so fast, we
Mm-hmm.
weren't able to schedule it. But they were very sweet, and they let us use them in it. And those are their actual icons from Clubhouse, because we were in rooms in Jed's Clubhouse
Mm-hmm.
of Horror rooms, Jed Shepard. We got to hang out with them, and then we had the special event in LA where they came, and we got to hang out with them, and like we were drinking with Bonnie Aarons at the bar, and I got to see Kelly and Barbara in person, which was
I
amazing.
mean, that's
They're just
iconic.
so cool. Yeah, like so so I always, the witches were a big deal for me. I ended up having some great actors step in, Julie Chow, Molly Ratterman, Crystal McKnight, who's one of our producers and also our mystical consultant, who like she like did rituals and everything to clear, like to communicate with the spirits, that we weren't trying to mess with them, because we have like chants and other things in it and
Mm-hmm.
witchcraft. So I was like, let's not turn this into a poltergeist situation. Let's try to avoid any kind of curses or anything else.
Wise.
I like to play it safe. I protect my people, safety first, Yutaka, always on a film set. So so yeah, so and then also might have missed, I think, oh, and Christine of course is on there, who's amazing. God, I love her so much. So but what's funny is if you listen very closely to what the witches are talking about, they're talking about some pretty crazy shit that I don't think everybody's picking up on, in terms of the origin of the child in it and like all this other stuff. It's so much fun. But yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I still haven't, but maybe because I need to try and like turn that up and like just focus on that. But there's so much going on that I like it's hard for me to do that.
If you turn
Um
on the subtitles, I think it'll tell you all of it, which is, it was funny actually when I was watching it and the subtitles were on. I was like, oh my God, it's all like just written out there. Or at least it tries. It's not
I'm
always
gonna do that
legible.
tonight then. I'm that okay.
There's
That's
some weird
exciting.
stuff in there. Yeah. And there's also some shade thrown around. Like one of the witches is a little bitchy towards Christine's character because like the Dark Lord chose her or whatever. It's like a whole thing.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Yeah. It's like super catty if you listen to the text. It's great.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Um, something else too. Obviously, I mean, let's talk about then. Well, I mean, we're going to talk spoilers, people. So if you haven't watched it by now, because it's out, you can, rent it or buy it, whichever. But I was kind of bummed when, we see the first death.
Yep.
That was, oh my god. And but she puts up a really good fight though.
She's fighting for a baby. She is a very devoted mother, as the title suggests.
Exactly. I just was the great, I think, like the good twist, and I was not expecting where you then took it with that end, because the actress, like her physicality was
Christine's amazing because not only can she do the emotional subtlety and is just an incredible actor, but she's also an amazing physical actor. So when you're watching it, like just the look in her eyes when she's looking at her son in the cabinet, and that shift from like her being worried about him, but then going into like action mode when she looks up, and then it just goes to her pulling the knife out, and then she's going for blood, yeah, and she's just an incredible actress and also an amazing writer director in her own right. And actually we have another short that we've been working on writing for a little while. It's just a little thing, but it's so much fun that her Steve Krimmel, her partner, and I have been like co-writing, and we're gonna do hopefully in the not too distant future. But anytime I get a chance to work with Christine is always a pleasure because she's amazing.
Oh, that's exciting. And
Yeah.
you're not kidding though. Like you could see, like it was kind of gut-wrenching when you could see like in
Yeah.
her eyes and that emotion. I was just like, but then
And
she turned
it's
around and she fucked that dude up.
eventually, but she had to work really hard to get there, um and there's certain things that unfortunately we couldn't fit into the short. It's in some of the dialogue of the witches. They fill in a
Mhm.
couple blanks if you listen, especially at the end. They kind of talk about why she came back that way.
Mhm.
One of the most interesting reviews I saw, they thought she was a werewolf, which I thought was awesome. I was like, that's interesting. It's
I
like,
like that, but
what was cool is if she's a werewolf without ever showing any fur, that's kind of cool. But yeah, like either way, they got it and they dug it. And then, but one of my favorite bits about all that is just Rurik's reaction to the whole thing. Which, it's funny because he's like 4. He's practically my godson. Basically, he's the son of Margaret Kerrigan and Tony Aldrich. Margaret is the owner operator of or head of makeup at Pandora Effects, who did all of our makeup and effects. She also sculpted and created the mask, the clown mask. I did some concept art, and then she sculpted it. And then Walter Walsh um, ended up running the casting, and then Margaret painted it and everything. And then Tony, Rurik's father, played the Ripper. He was the guy in the clown mask. So the whole time he's being held by his dad. So he's not really
oh.
scared or anything. You know, he gets irritated. He's like, let go of me. But like they're just playing the way they would at home. So at no point was Rurik ever actually scared on set because we wouldn't do that to a kid. It's really just very clever editing and sound design. And like even on my Instagram, if you scroll through it, you'll see me and Tony at the house recording lines with Rurik, just like, and he's so smart. He was reading them off the page. Like he's just such an incredible little boy. It did such a great job. And then at the end, it was so funny. Well, yeah, it was so funny because like I never intended to direct him. I always I wrote it so that everything was happening around him and he could react to it, and it worked out great. But one of the cool things is that Corinne Renzulli, who is our like set babysitter or teacher, her, Tony, and Christine went off into a room somewhere and came up with this whole thing for the ending where, when she's supposed to be tearing him apart, what Rurik thought was happening in his mind, because that's what they convinced him, was that Spider-Man was fighting Venom. So he's all like, cheering and everything. And I was like, that's like lightning in a bottle that you just can't plan for, or because you write it and the kid's scared, right? But then I saw what he was doing and I was like, he knows what he's doing. Just let him be himself, and it's so much better, right? It's so less predictable or boring, the kid's just cinematic gold. So, between him and Christine, I was very well protected, because we had to shoot this in like a day and a half. So Christine nailing those takes with those performances in such a compressed amount of time was just like a godsend. Otherwise the thing probably wouldn't work.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
that's a time crunch. But I mean, I know with most shorts you're not really given so much time, but that's wow.
But I also wrote it to be that, because I knew how limited our budget was for it. So it was very contained. There's a very specific kind of narrative track and makeup continuity that went through it that benefited from that. And then so the first night, it was funny, we weren't even supposed to shoot the first night we were there. We were just doing like a scout and like a kind of pre-light kind of thing. But then my DP Pascal Combs Canuck and my gaffer Matt Lacourt, they were like, well, let's just shoot some of it now. And I was like, okay. So we got as many cutaways and everything. We got Tony to come in with the overalls and the mask. So like the thing where he comes down and he's like shush and like all that stuff and like all the fun stuff, we got to really take time with that because we got it the night before. So it kind of saved us. And then we were able to concentrate on all the main stuff on the day. Although Tony did kept pulling something that was really funny, and there's even a little bit of it you can see in the film if you look very carefully. He took to planking all around the house in the outfit with the mask. So you just walk in and he's just laying just like but there's a shot going down the hallway, where you can see a piece of him in the room to the left laying on the ground. It's hysterical. I love it.
Now you're gonna have me going frame by frame to try and find
the Easter eggs are worth it. They are.
I was lucky enough because I was really excited that I got to see this. Well, before I screening it at Brooklyn Horror, which I just love anytime I get to see something on the big screen. So I'd like to know, just as the filmmaker, what it was like seeing your product on the big screen.
Brooklyn was extraordinary because the theater was packed. And one of the best things about that was that the audience was really tuned into the film, like every beat of it, and you could feel it. Like they were laughing where they were supposed to laugh. They were even laughing in places we didn't know we'd get a laugh. And then they were like gasping. They were cursing the screen. And I believe in Stevens, because rats shouldn't do things like that. That's horrifying. I always call it the rat poof. But yeah, it's like, just seeing their reaction, or like feeling their reactions and how into it they were. Because when you're crafting a film, you're basically creating like this moment that's followed through the audio and the visuals, even with the focus, where you're trying to like hold them on this roller coaster, for the whole thing to different effect. And we had them throughout the entire film, and they really experienced it. We experienced it collectively in this full audience, and there's no beating that. That's what every filmmaker dreams of. So, and then also just being surrounded by all these amazing people. we have such a great, kind of little family that we've built with Sinphony. And what was cool is getting to hang out with you. We had that brunch,
That
and
was
look,
so cool.
bad audio aside, we had a good time. We got to
I
all
will
hang out. So.
never forget that moment because I thought that like you guys were just not only were you just all welcoming, but as this is new to me in a sense, but it was just so cool. Like getting to speak with filmmakers about their craft. And again, just I remember just hearing about the story of Clubhouse of Horror and all of that. And I was just like, that's so cool. And to be honest, I didn't realize, I thought you guys were part of the like the competition instance, but then when I
Right.
was like, wait, you guys, I was like, that is like that's kind of the coolest thing ever to be like, yeah, we'll make your film. You're like, what? I mean, I blows my mind, and I think that's incredible. But you could also just see sitting there, just like the love you all had for each other, and how much you were just all supporting each other. I love that.
Oh, it's been amazing. And that was the crazy thing too about Clubhouse is like it's basically like, in middle school when you like had group phone calls,
Yes.
where you'd all be like on a phone call. That's what Clubhouse is. Just so you know. Like it's not about a room with 1,000 people. It's about having like a close-knit group of like 6 to 12 people that you literally talk to every night. Like I was talking to I was with Hank, Nicole Rosas, who's one of the filmmakers, writer directors for the new anthology. Doug and I think Gavin was in there. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of us that were in there earlier. I guess Jed was really, really busy, so he wasn't in there tonight. But he's in there most nights, even though it's super late for him. It's like 4 a.m. for him while we're all hanging out, which is crazy. But he's a night owl. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just so cool that like by the time what's crazy is this was a year ago that we actually did a panel at Comic-Con special edition for Sinphony, and we
I
went
remember
there.
seeing that.
Yeah, and this was like the first time any of us met in person is in San Diego doing
That's
this thing.
awesome.
But what was crazy is like 30 to 40 people showed up between the people on the stage and the people in the audience from Clubhouse, and we all met in person for the first time, and that was like insane. And this was like pretty early on in the whole COVID thing, so this is the first time any of us had really been anywhere around other people. So it was just like this really overwhelming intense thing that felt like a family reunion with people we had never met in person before, but had become kind of best friends with over a year.
That's that's amazing, and I can kind of relate since I've only met two of my co-hosts ever.
Oh wow.
The other two are also across the pond in the UK. And I just actually at Brooklyn was where I got to meet the other two because we're all over the place. And we used to have somebody in up in Canada. Like it's crazy. And then but we kind of all like came together because of COVID, because I think that's where a lot of people either like, let's be honest, we're like, oh, let's start a podcast. And we, I can't say we thought we'd get to the point to where we were able to interview people or just anything like that. So
It's gonna do something.
it's been a lot of fun. But I truly like I can relate because I'm like we would love to all get in a room and actually sit down and chat with each other. So I think that's really cool that you all were able to do that. Um I'm hoping then too that means, also just from I feel like the reception's been really good for this. I'm hoping we're get a physical release at some point because I would
We are
love.
actually in 10 days the DVD comes out. You can
I'll be
pre-order it already on Amazon. It's there.
Well, I was not prepared, so I'll be pre-ordering that tonight.
Just so you know though, do not buy the blanket or the poster that's on Amazon next to it that charges $105. That's some outfit in China that's bootlegged my artwork and like is fake. So don't fall for that. You could go to the Redbubble for that if anybody wants stuff.
I'll
But
put the link in below for the
yeah,
Redbubble.
and
Yes.
it's in my link tree. It's like a link tree incepted within my link tree on Instagram. So, and it's just my name, Jason Ragosta. So if anybody wants official merchandise, and the main thing is this, the files that I put up there are like super high res, so the print quality is going to be a lot better. They like literally, there it is. Yeah. They literally just lift the thumbnail and print it. And so if you get that $105 bootleg version, it's going to be super blurry and terrible. So don't be fooled.
Horrible. Yeah,
It is
no.
horrible.
One, because it's stealing from other people's work. But two, I mean, again, like you put in all this work. I mean, because you did all the covers.
I did. It was so much fun. So it was funny too, because like Seb and Mike, they're working so hard just to get the film done. And I'd be in meetings, I'm like, I could do a poster. And they're like, yeah, Jason, we'll talk about that later. I'm like, I could do a poster. So I did the pre-production poster that was like the cello, flaming skeleton cello. And I worked very closely with Mike and Seb, like a bunch of rounds of notes, and we finally got it to where they liked it, and we did that, and that was a real hit. But then I was like, okay, guys, we've got imagery now. I could do the official poster. And they're like, well, we'll see about the distributor, what they think and everything else. And I'm like, guys, I could do a really cool poster with all this imagery. And so I just kept kind of bugging them. And then I did the official poster, which everybody loved. And of course the distributor, MPI and Dark Sky love it. They've been super supportive. They've been amazing. As are like Daniela and Stacy, our PR people, have just been killing it. But like, so then I did the official poster, and there were a couple notes. Like there was an early version of that was on the screen at the screening in LA that some people can find online, on my Instagram and some other places. And they can see subtle differences between the final and that one, which is kind of interesting. And then once that was done in the meetings, I was like, guys, I could do individual posters for all the shorts. And they're like, how would that work? I don't know. We got to talk to the distributor. And I was like, so then I did mine, the one you're wearing now.
Mm-hmm.
And I did Jason Wilkinson's Tabitha one as a proof of concept to show them like how they would be branded and would work with the main poster, because that was their main concern, is just brand confusion, which makes total sense, because
Okay.
the real face of it was the official poster, which was totally the plan. And if you look at the DVD, it's gorgeous. It's got the official poster and all that stuff on it. It's very cool. But with the individual ones, I really wanted to tap in and get the aesthetic of each of my fellow filmmakers' shorts, because each one's so cool and unique and different. And I've got my favorites, but I love doing all of them, I really like Kimmy's with the toaster. And one of my favorite parts about it is I went to her, because I did like a quick comp version with photos first. I was like, Kimmy, here's the big question: with toast or without toast? And I'm like kind of praying that she says what I want her to say. And she's like, toast, naturally. And I'm like, yes, that's right. And then doing Mark's was awesome, and Haley's, they're all so cool. I just had so much fun working with everybody's imagery. So that was very, very rewarding. And then Fangoria released all the posters in this like article, which was super cool. So it was just awesome.
That was pretty
cool.
badass. But
Yeah.
I mean, it really shows in the actual posters too. I love how each of them, obviously they're so different, but as you said, they really capture the essence of each of those shorts. And I just think that's really great. And I'm excited. So I'm assuming there are like, is there commentary on the DVD?
You know what? I don't think there will be, which made us sad. We really wanted to do it. Like, I almost think they should just take our live viewing, like recording from Clubhouse, and put it on there. That would be funny, because we did like a live like watch with the filmmakers kind of thing on Clubhouse, and that was great. Everybody got to talk about their thing. Greg was like the master of ceremonies on that. He did a great job. And it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I guess, but you know, if people really we'll probably do more viewing parties too at some point, hopefully. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean, I'm also a huge physical media person, so I'm really happy that you guys are also doing a physical release. And I mean, I don't know whose door I need to knock on, but that like the idea of doing this soundtrack or that is just yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
it would be
awesome.
cool. Maybe at some point, if we could do like a an additional release or something, maybe we can get on there, like like a collector's edition or something. That'd be fun. See how it
Uh,
goes.
so and you mentioned that like you've got well you have a draft you said of the feature.
Yeah, I completed a draft of the feature version. Hopefully everything will go well. We'll get to make it. We'll see.
I'm gonna manifest that because I would love to see a feature
Oh,
of this.
oh my God. And you know, the short is just the tip of the iceberg. Like there's a whole like universe that I'm building out of this that could go
God.
prequels, sequels, television show. Like it gets expansive.
I
Yeah.
like to hear that because it also sounds, I mean, just by what we saw, it sounds like there would be some, oh, it would just be vicious. And
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
I, I would love that. Um, but one of the things that I would love to ask you then too is, in the last, we'll just, every time I say in the last year, I know we all have, well, I can't believe I can say that for myself, but we all have seen films that we can't technically give our opinions on just yet because of embargo. But I'd love to know what you've seen in the past year that just just like wowed you or
Oh,
was just
yeah.
something in the genre that you were just so excited to see. And actually, as I say that, it could be a movie, it could be talent in front of or behind the scenes, just what in horror that just like really blew your mind.
Well, I mean, it's been an amazing year for horror from
It
my
has.
perspective. I mean, there's just been so much, you know. I think for me, like Deadstream is one of my current obsessions. And
Oh,
as an
good.
addendum, which I consider just part of that, is To Hell and Back in VHS 99. And Ozzy's Cave in VHS 99 is also just an amazing thing unto itself that exists, almost like in defiance of all things holy, and is incredible. Watcher is probably one of my top films for the year. I think that film should be up for like Academy Awards, in my opinion. It's
It's
Hitchcockian, it's so efficient. It's from the director of the Ratma,
yes.
Chloe Acuna, who gave us Hail Ratma from VHS
Yeah.
94, which is
I
like, keep an eye on that lady, because damn, you know, like that's quite a 1-2 punch there.
that film was
Terrifier 2.
gorgeous.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's
I
what's great about Watcher is like no thing in it could be removed. It's like a Jenga tower
yeah.
where
Oh,
everything that can possibly be removed has been removed, where if you take any one of the pieces out, it'll topple, you know.
and
And
the train stay. I
I
like
was about
not
to
to get
mention it.
spoiled. Oh my god, that I was on the edge of my seat. The
What's amazing about that scene is not only is it a cinematic achievement, like masterpiece level of achievement, but the level that the art department and the props department play in the narrative and the suspense is such a unique thing. Like the translucency on that bag, and just like it's the perfect balance of like, is that not, oh my God, that totally is. And meanwhile, and what was great too is I loved how the politics of the film weren't like being like waved around and smacked into everybody's faces. It was like built into it as just the realities of her existence, which is more, I think, of how people experience it. So, you know, to me, I've described Watcher as an amazing modern, like Hitchcockian modern version of Rosemary's Baby without the devil or the like pregnancy,
Ooh,
you know. Um
okay.
because that's
I
what
like
she's
that.
going through, is that level of betrayal and almost like being told, she's being gaslit through this whole
Oh, the
thing. Like,
entire yes.
yeah. And it's like, do I want to murder her husband most of the movie? Yes.
Yes.
But the wrong people always die in these movies, like her awesome neighbor, is
Uh,
like, yeah, that's just
you were
horrifying.
preaching to the choir. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what made that movie so. Oh,
It's
it
just
just
operating on such a higher level that I think for a lot of people it might have flown under the radar, which is unfortunate, because that thing should be blasted out, to the heavens, like at the level for me of like the Babadook or Let the Right One In. It's like one of
two
those,
good ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then some other ones, Terrifier 2. And here's the thing, there's been a lot of hype and everything else. I've been a massive Art the Clown fan from like, I saw Terrifier first. It was funny because like originally online on Twitter, I'm like, how the fuck is this Art the Clown guy already got memes when Terrifier has like the first Terrifier hadn't even come out yet? I didn't know about All Hallows Eve yet, right?
Oh,
So I
okay.
was like, this is the most masterful like social media campaign I've ever seen. How have they fucking done this? And then I saw All Hallows Eve and I was like, oh my God. And then All Hallows Eve 2. And and then Terrifier. And then I was like, oh shit, Terrifier 2. And I knew it was coming because I had seen it. It was on Indiegogo at the same time that I was raising money for ZTV, my short before Sinphony. And like they really took their time, they raised a nice amount of money, and then they killed it. And the thing is, like, the press talks about the gore and everything else. They're like, oh, it's like it came out of nowhere. It's like, no, it came over like 10 years and 4 films of these guys working really, really hard and building up a fan base. It's a very grassroots success story that was not, I mean, sure, it caught fire and they caught lightning in a bottle, which is amazing. And the people involved are amazing. But like, and Art is a freaking horror icon now, because those shots, those low angle kind of shots, just where he's like looking and kind of moving forward, there's no denying the power of that figure, and he does it as a mime without lines or anything. He's like Chucky or Freddy without saying anything.
But he
Just
still
with
has
his
that
reflection.
humor though too, and
He
he doesn't
does.
like he is so petty, and I love every bit of it. And I will say it's my favorite thing this year has been just independent horror at the cinema. I
Yeah.
mean, you had like all these on low budget.
I was going to
like
mention Barbarian next. Yeah.
Like it's so great to see them succeeding.
Yeah. Well, and X and Pearl, which is just fucking like getting those
Mia
two in one
Goth is
year.
another one too.
Oh
Like,
my God.
wow.
That monologue in Pearl is one of the greatest things I've seen in a movie theater in so much time. Cause like everything she's saying is like the God's honest truth that she would say to him, but it's his sister. And by saying it, she needs to bury an axe in her skull.
Yes.
There's so many dimensions to that. They just stay on Pearl. And I'm like, fucking A, just throw a gold statue at that woman immediately.
Yes, it was incredible. And yeah, I've been so excited to see how these films, because not to throw shade at other films that they're big budget films that may have not done as well, but I was just like, I love the fact that Terrifier 2 is in so little theaters, and look at that average each week. Look at it keep doing. I'm like, that is crazy. But I will tell you, I mean, I've seen it way too many times, but I saw it in theaters. And when I was walking in theaters, I go, these kids can't be more than 12 or 13 years old. And it's their mom who is there with them. I'm oh God, this is going to be great. And I'm excited because I am also a big fan of I've already seen a film. I'm just here to see the reactions.
Yeah.
And when that bedroom scene happened, all of a sudden you just hear her go, oh, hell no, I'm not having this. I was like, that's great. I love this.
I wonder how she reacted to the mom's exploded head and the mashed potato.
She was laughing, actually.
What was really funny is like the first time I saw it in the theater, there were these two like women next to me that were kind of like in their 20s or something, and they're like reacting to this film. And then later on, we were all waiting for, like, I went to go leave the movie theater, and they had kind of gotten locked out, and they were waiting for their lift, so I let them back in, and we were chatting for a minute, and they didn't know about Terrifier 1 or All Hallows Eve. They just, that was their first, and I think that
my
was what it was
goodness.
like for a lot of people. But I will say, like, Terrifier 2 is a little more commercial,
Yes.
even as hardcore as it is, than Terrifier 1.
Oh,
'Cause-
it's totally different.
Yeah, because it's a much bigger difference when you have this amazing final girl, basically Valkyrie, right? Like empowered
Yes.
Valkyrie woman who's amazing, versus in Terrifier 1, where the final girl is horribly disfigured and has no face. And of course is seen in the second one, and we see where that leads. Like, think about how bleak that is of a movie and how hardcore that is when the final girl is just irrevocably disfigured beyond all recognition at the end of the film. Even actually, it's in the beginning of the film. She's actually horribly disfigured in the cold open.
Yes.
Like there's just no like that's how hardcore Terrifier 1 is. Terrifier 2 is still extremely hardcore by every other measuring stick other than Terrifier 1.
That's very true.
Yeah. Because I think some people may see Terrifier 1 after seeing Terrifier 2, and they're like,
oh, they're not ready.
they think they're ready. They're still not ready. And what's funny is, like, a friend asked me, like, well, what's the deal with Terrifier? And I was like, well, Terrifier is hardcore, gory ass horror. I was like, when he starts cutting, they're not going to move away from it. They're going to show it. And that's the difference, And this was before I even saw it. And that's exactly what happens, because I knew art and I knew what he was up to. I mean, the reason why I had a horror clown in mind is because I was so inspired in my love for art. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was one of the reasons why I was like, so I was like, oh, I could do my own kind of like clown character. And the our character is very different from art. He's not, but art's amazing. I love him so much. And then the quiet girl, oh my god, she was like such a great addition that I didn't know was needed. And just her, like,
oh my
like
her, like, I think it's very masterful what David can do. And so to see then that on, like, I was like, I was not expecting that. I was like, that's incredible. I think she's fantastic. One of our we had them on the show, but they reacted. One of my other favorite things is I watch reaction channels, and my god, did Terrifier 2 blow those things up.
Oh yeah.
And it's all us gays. We fucking love Terrifier 2. And so they named her Artina, and I lost it. I was like, that's really great. And I just, yeah. She's actually, that actress is gonna come onto the show.
Just the scene in the laundromat and how when she makes her first impression.
I want to know, like, I can't wait to just ask her. I'm like, what did your parents think when that part in the script?
That whole bit is so weird and so amazing and so perfect. It's like the horror extreme equivalent of like Step Brothers when they're like, did we just become best friends?
Yes.
But over like murder and just like really bad diarrhea. Yeah.
That's amazing. And then Barbarian was another one that just that took me for a loop.
What's funny about Barbarian? I've described it as the smartest film that pretends to be dumb I've ever seen. Because it seems silly and kind of like weird in moments, but when you step back from it, it's really saying something. It's this modern parable where each of the characters is being judged for who they are, and the monster is not the monster in the film, right? It's making a very clear statement about it and about, I guess, Hollywood and also the culture, And I think it was just a really smart, amazing way to handle the whole Me Too kind of aspect of Hollywood without hitting you over the head with it, you know?
Yeah, no, it
Because you
was
don't even know
actually
it's going there until it like changes on a dime on you and then shifts to Justin Long's character. And then you're like, wait, what is going on? What is this?
that was something that was so great about that film was how fans or like the horror community went to the lengths of not spoiling it like that. Go in blind, don't watch the trailer if you already haven't seen it, just go in and it's nothing like I expected. And that's a great way to put it when you say like the monster is not like that was, although I chat with a few folks, I'm like, Tess made some dumb decisions. Maybe it's just
So,
me, because I would have been
no,
like,
it's not just you,
I
man.
was like, I wouldn't have went back for that man. I'm sorry to this
Well,
man. I don't know you.
and see, that's the morality tale part of it. She's showing how pure her, because like who in their right minds would go back in there? But upon second viewings, what's interesting, because originally I was like, they might as well have called it Don't, because that's what we're yelling at Tess the whole time.
Yes.
But what it was is she had learned that the monster woman wasn't really trying to hurt her, because she didn't.
This is true.
So I think from Tess's point of view, I can see how she felt a little safer once she had figured out what was going on, going back in, than we felt safe about going in, because we hadn't had the experience she had of being nursed by the creature for like weeks.
That's true.
And she had
Okay.
obviously bonded with her. Like she knew that that creature wouldn't hurt her. And that's the thing. The first time you're watching it, you don't know that. And then when you see what the creature does to protect her at the end. So what's funny is I had the same thought the first time I watched it. I was like, how do you ever walk back into that house after everything that happened? But there's a huge gap from where we leave off with her to when
Justin Long's character.
Yeah. So she's in a different place than we were with her last time we saw her, I think, at that point. And that's why
true.
they're able to rationalize that from a story standpoint.
I do have to ask, this is I've always been interested now to hear people's, because I've heard different responses, but I want to know, you're in a basement, concrete walls, and you see a rope go. Do you pull that rope?
Never. I would never do it.
Like I was like, nope.
But also, Yutaka, you've done that, which is insane. But then you go in and you go and see the room with the mattress and the video camera and the bucket. I would just walk right out of that house, and I would just leave my stuff, and I would just never go back. That's it.
When that happened, I was like, I'm like, I see shelves. I'd move those over. I'd break open that damn window. But again, then we wouldn't have a movie, which was at times like now I'm going to have to, when I do rewatch that again, I'm going to have to think about that. I never considered that in terms of tests, but I will say the few times that I've watched it, I'm just like, oh, it makes me so mad.
Well, and then you look at Justin Long's reaction. He's like, it's more space that I can put on the listing to charge more money. He's a sociopath, right?
I was dying. I was like, that's funny. But I was like, I could see that.
Yeah.
But I was laughing pretty hard. I was like, they did a good job with those comedic elements.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's I mean, that's the thing, is like sometimes it's almost like goofy, the level of humor they bring to it. The other one is Nope. I'm obsessed. I've watched it like 1,000 times and it gets better every time. One of my favorite moments is just when they're like, slapping each other's hands like, did I not tell you this man would come with a non-electric camera? Which as I've worked as a cinematographer and I have a Bolex that cranks, and I'm like, that tickles me pretty good.
The Easter eggs that Jordan Peele put into that, like it was just his love letter to movies, and that was really amazing.
The man loves horror. He loves films. He's just amazing. And he's given us so much over like 3 films that
which
he's
is
kind of changed the game, you know?
I mean, I still love the little Akira nod because I know
Oh
some
my
people
God.
didn't get that, but like the
When
nerd,
she's
like
sliding on the bike with the police tape. Oh my God,
yes,
yeah.
I was just like, damn. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I hope people like try and research what that was. I was like, oh my God.
It was hardcore. Yeah. And then with Black Phone, as you can see, I dug. What's amazing to me about that movie is 2 things, which are both pluses and minuses for the film. Because first of all, just know, I love the film to death. I watched it in the theater. I watched it at home a million times.
VHS
I love
of
it
right here.
That is so cool. So, but I will say this: it's interesting to me that the scariest and most intense scene is the little girl and dad in the kitchen in the first act, because it's so real.
That was, yeah.
And when you have this little girl screaming at the top of her lungs, "My dreams are just dreams," and her dad is like beating her. Now, we understand the context for that later once we hear about what happened with the mom. But in the moment, just taken as its own thing, that is just so horrifying. And not to mention that their schoolyard fights are like UFC blood sport professional battles, where that kid was safer in the basement than he was.
So true.
What is this universe that they've created where this kid is safer in a serial killer's basement than he is on the playground? That is crazy.
That actress, Madeline McGraw.
Oh my God.
Actually, and same thing, Mason Thames. Like those 2 child actors, like they were incredible.
Yeah.
But the writing, her lines though, when she's like, Jesus, what the fuck? I'm like, oh my God.
Well, the best is when she swears weird, like when her swearing isn't like fully developed. So she says like to the detectives, like she's obviously my favorite character ever, like one of them. Like she steals that movie 100%.
Yeah.
But my God, that kitchen scene though, holy shit,
and that's
it's
so
just so
early
intense.
on, and it's so unsettling. Yeah, I saw that. I will be honest, that was my movie that I was like most looking forward to. So when it Overlook Film Festival was like, hey, we're gonna show it, and I think it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks before, I was like, I'm going to that then.
Yep.
And it was crazy because I didn't want to fan out, but like Mick Garris was like 4 seats from me. I'm like,
wow,
I don't want to be that
white
guy.
Hair.
I was like, I can't go say hi. I was like, I'm too nervous. And so, but the audience, like, I'd never experienced anything like that in a long time, to where like people were yelling, like, and yeah, she garnered like the most reactions from everybody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I want a sibling like that. When she came and she took that rock and
yeah, no, when she popped, and then what was funny too is they both get, like, her and this other kid get fucked up so bad. They're just sitting it out on the sidelines. One kid's got a bleeding from the head from the rock, and she got like kicked in the stomach and the face. And they're just like sitting on, I mean, this is some hardcore schoolyard brawls that these kids are going through, man.
That this was an earlier time, but I'm like, I don't remember like school like that bad.
Yeah,
but
one of my first days at high school, I saw a kid's head get cracked open in like the main hall of the school against a brick wall, and then another kid lost a testicle in a fight. It was pretty bad where I went to school, I guess.
Okay, we did have a kid who lost one, but that was a lesson learned in terms of you should not be running with pencils while, like, it was a weird,
this was a pencil related issue.
Yeah, like, well, it was like gym class or something. We're like, why would you have a pencil like in
it
your
was
gym
in his
shorts?
pocket? Oh,
yeah,
no.
we're like, what?
Oh no.
But
yeah, that was badly planned.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it was, I mean, high school, yeah, I guess I would say like high school was pretty good for
Yeah.
me in a sense. But when I saw that, I'm like, oh damn, that's
Yeah.
hardcore.
Pretty hardcore. Yeah. But it was interesting how, what's interesting too about Black Phone is it's an inverted model of Sinister. Because in Sinister, the ghost kids are trying to urge them to kill their parents or their family. But in this, the ghost kids are urging him to kill who we want him to kill, which is the serial killer. And that's why I think it takes a little tension out of it in the end. Whereas Sinister 1 and 2 do not feel safe at all at any time. And because they go there, right? Like these kids really will kill their family and they will kill their fathers, or their mother or whoever.
And a messed up way too.
Yeah, but in Black Phone, it's kind of interesting because they're trying to kill who we want them to kill. Some of the danger is kind of taken out of it a little, which is kind of interesting, but still such an amazing film and so hardcore. And it's almost like the little girl came out of like Psycho Gorman. Like it almost has that vibe. Like she's operating at that level. She could totally hang with those kids.
Oh my god, that's a great film that I
Oh my
don't
god, I
think
love
got
it.
enough love.
I love it so much. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, okay, so because I don't want to keep you, and this has been amazing, just getting to talk horror with,
Yeah.
like,
I love it.
What is then, if there were one film that you wish people talked about more in horror, what would it be?
Ooh. Well, on Letterbox, actually, they did this cool interview or like thing with us where each of the filmmakers from Sinphony got to do a Letterbox review of a film, and then they published it as like a like article or something. And we also the art from Sinphony was like the header on the horror section of Letterbox for a while. I don't know if it's still up there. It was very cool. But I chose Cemetery Man or Della Morte Della More, which was done. Bless you.
Thank you.
Which was done by Michele Savoy, who is a student of Argento, and is like this crazy giallo like horror film that has Rupert Everett as the engineer who runs the cemetery where the dead just happen to constantly come back to life. And there's this character called Noggy that just goes "Nya," and that's all he says, who falls in love with a decapitated head that speaks. And it's one of the greatest films ever made. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. Like, there's a part where Boy Scouts sing on a bus as they go off a cliff and die, which is amazing.
I believe I remember the box art for this because
Yes.
I believe it's just Rupert Everett, but I do remember like the mausoleum or and the cross. I remember that. I can't remember if I've seen that, but now I'm gonna have to watch it.
I think you've seen the cover. But yeah, so that one, and then the Devils. But the Devils has gotten a lot of love recently. Russ. Oh my God, Ken Russell's film The Devils, which is one of my favorites. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh
I
my
actually
God.
will have to. So like, I've got so many films to watch now.
Yeah, The Devils was on Shudder for a while. I don't know if it still is, but it might be. Yeah, and then there's also on Arrow, on the Arrow player, they have I think the documentary behind the scenes of The Devils, which is amazing as well. Because there was a whole thing where they had to restore it and bring back all this footage, and it's this insane. Basically, The Devils stars Oliver Reed, who is one of the greatest just things that ever happened to cinema. I still remember his monologue about giraffes that wouldn't fuck and copulate in Gladiator, which was amazing. But he plays this priest who is very unconventional. He's having affairs with all the like top people, like all the people in the town's daughters, and like he's just doing whatever he wants. Basically, he's got his own idea of his relationship with God. And then they want to take down the walls of his town, Gudon. The original story was based on The Devils of Loudun by Aldous Huxley, who also did Brave New World, the author. And they have these shining white brick walls all around their city, and it's fortified. And the Cardinal Richelieu wants to take down the walls and like, you know, do this whole thing. So in order to get at Grandier and take away his powers, who's basically stepping in and is kind of an impromptu governor protecting the town, they find this nun played by, I believe, one of the Redgraves. I believe it's Vanessa Redgrave.
Ooh.
And she's got this like crazy spinal problem, and she's like all like hunched over, but she has these sexual fantasies about Grandier where he's Christ, and she's like licking his wounds and like all of these like crazy things. And then she basically comes up with this thing where she's saying that she's been assaulted by Grandier and demons and all this stuff, and her whole order of nuns get pulled into it, and they send a witch finder general, and like the whole thing's insane, and it leads to kind of like Oliver Reed's kind of undoing, you know, through torture and trial as a witch or like warlock or seducer of
Oh my
nuns.
God, this sounds like unhinged.
It's intense, it's highly theatrical and dramatic. Like the king is like super openly gay and has all these like boys attending to him, and he's talking about how he sees no point, you know, he finds no use for women or something. He's like, but and he's like, but Grande finds all sorts of use for them. And like, I don't know, it's amazing. You know,
I'm watching this one
it
tonight.
literally starts with a stage production with waves and like all these cool things back in this like olden time, and the clamshell opens up and it's the king as Venus. It's you're gonna love it. It's extraordinary.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm excited. Like
it's
that's
one of the greatest movies ever. Like the fact the movie even exists is just insane, basically.
oh my God,
Yeah, it
that
defies
sounds.
all convention and logic, you know.
Oh man, that sounds amazing.
It is. Yeah. It's
Well,
truly spectacular.
to just the viewers and everybody and the listeners, you know, one, also go check out Sinphony. It's out on you can rent or purchase digitally, and now it sounds like, which I'm so excited, you can
10
pre-order.
days. Yes.
Well, I'll be doing that.
Yes.
And also if you really enjoy it, just go check out the merch as well. It's really good.
We
I
got some cool
mean,
stuff. There's mugs, there's all kinds of stuff, shirts. Actually, I just like touched one of the blankets today, and it's amazing. They're like really soft and nice, and I'm like, and you know, the whole merch thing, it's really funny. I wasn't gonna do all that. I wasn't gonna put all the stuff up as merch, but like there are people on the crew buying the knockoff ones from China for like 100. I was like, okay,
mm-mm.
stop. I was like, stop it. Actually, Alex Noyer, the director of Sound of Violence, and he's one of the producers on the second anthology. He was there with us in Brooklyn, and we were all at this dinner. And he's like, here, look at the blanket. You guys should buy it. He was like trying to get people to buy it. I'm like, what are you doing, Alex?
I adore
He's
him
a
so much.
troublemaker.
He
He's
is.
amazing. Such a talented guy. And anybody who hasn't seen Sound of Violence should see it, because
It's. Oh, that one
yeah.
hit me hard. That was.
And he worked with Jasmine Savoy Brown before she like blew up with Scream and with Yellow Jackets, where she's amazing. And this is like her starring in this film. Alex and I have talked about it. I have always said that she would have made Alexis, which I find very funny because his name's Alex and her name's Alexis. So I think he's trying to communicate something there. But Alexis would have made an amazing serial killer for Will Graham to go after on Hannibal. You know,
I mean, I won't say no because I wish Hannibal were like that show was great.
it was so
But
good.
I remember talking with Alex and he was like, I feel like this is like a villain origin story. I go, if you're gonna telling me you're making a sequel, because I'd be here for it because
Yeah.
we still haven't got a physical release here in the States. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that he really does, like they release a really good soundtrack because I
Oh,
was just I yeah.
the sound design in that film's amazing, and yeah, Alex put a lot of love and a lot of care into that film, and it shows. And I think That one's on Hulu and Showtime.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, on all the streaming places as well. Yeah. Or
And then go
digital.
check out the short too. That's wild.
Conductor. Yeah. If you look up Conductor, Alex Noyer short, it'll come up. And that one is fantastic. And yeah, I won't spoil anything about it. But man,
It's
that
so
one
good.
got me so bad because I was like, what is this? What are these guys? And then it like flips and you're like, ah, God, okay.
Yeah.
And you know, in Sound of Violence, the part that got me was the harp playing. That scene was so vicious.
It
Oh my
was,
God.
oh my gosh. Like, I was like, that is so unconventional. I wasn't expecting that. I go, oh, I'm like, you are, yeah, that's a great film too. Oh my gosh. It has been truly a pleasure and an honor to actually get to speak with you again. And again, everybody, go check out Sinphony. I promise you, it is so damn good. And I'm just gonna manifest that we get a feature of your segment. Actually, I hope everyone gets a feature because
They
I
all could
really,
be. They're
I
all so
mean, they're
good,
all,
you know. And one of the things about Sinphony that gets me is just how each film is like a totally different approach to the genre. Like no two are alike. And I thought like, and we weren't necessarily trying to do that when we did it. It just happened naturally that way. And you know, you'll see gross stuff, you'll get scares, you'll laugh, there's like and it's just entertaining and fun, you know.
that's what's so great about, like, again, you had the core theme, but then as you said, I loved the fact that again, to me, I was introduced to new talent and I was blown away. And I mean, I was just, again, maybe for me, I'm like, I love seeing screeners, don't get me wrong, but it's something where I'm like, okay, I want to go see this in theaters. I'm buying it afterwards. And I mean, I own it digitally, but I will be getting a physical copy. I mean, again, like, I would say on our channel, when we love a film, we go hard for it.
We
And
have
this is just
noticed and we very much appreciate it. We
but
appreciate all the love. And you know, I remember when we met at Brooklyn, it was funny because like, you know, we were taking a pic, it was me and Kimmy and John taking a picture, and
yes.
you're like, I could take the photo for you, and I'm like, no, we're good. And then we kind of figured out who we were, and then you said how much you loved it, and that was the first time someone told me how much they loved it that saw it that wasn't connected to it. So I was like, oh, people might really like it, this is exciting, you know.
It was,
And then they did.
I really did. I enjoyed it so much. And that's why, again, like, it was just such an honor to get to sit there with you all and just chat with you. And I still actually remember that moment. I forgot the question I asked, but when I did, I forgot who it was. I think it was you. You're like looking up. I'm like, right behind me, isn't it? And I think it was Seb, yes. And I was like, oh my God.
That was so much fun. And you know, we really appreciate you coming out and having an interest in interviewing us. So we were equally thrilled and honored to have you there as well. So we do appreciate all the love and all the support and you guys helping promote the film. You know, it means a lot to us for sure.
I would just say also to everyone else, keep an eye out. We have more interviews planned with the folks from Sinphony, just because, again, I will find any excuse to get to talk to them and just about horror. So, but again, thank you so much. It has been great. And to everyone else, just have a good night. Or actually, when you watch it, just have a good rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Yutaka. It was always a pleasure and so much fun talking horror with you.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.